Welcome. This is Tomas Fernandez for Hope Through Arts, and I'm here with my friend Catherine Obreza Fetterman, a longtime artist and friend and laborer in the kingdom. So we've done many projects together. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you, Tomas. It's great to be here with you.
Well, I'm excited today to hear about your beginnings as an artist and also to hear about your journey once you became an accomplished artist and where it's led you today. So, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about how your creative spark got sparked?
I love that. That's a great introduction. Thank you. Accomplished artist, as if I were already accomplished. It's such a process, right?
It is a process.
Yeah, but it's so wonderful to be with you and to be with your listeners and to share what's going on through art that isn't necessarily seen out in the general public.
No, it's
So,
it's not front page news, but it's a
not front page news.
it's a
Too bad.
backstory. I know it should
Yeah.
be.
I think if more people heard about the things that we're doing as individuals like this, these beautiful stories would give more hope to people and would help them find the light in the darkness, right? So
Exactly.
thank you for helping to do that with this program.
Well, you're welcome. So, how did things get rolling in your life? I suspect you were young when things got started.
Yes, they were. I have two great parents who recognized that from an early age I loved to draw and paint and color and would let me paint on the windows of the house
Nice.
and do all kinds of fun things. And so with their support, I went to receive some one-on-one help with learning how to do art and getting enrolled in classes and then went on to college and continued what I had started in high school, which was a specialty in watercolor.
Okay.
And went to Smith College and majored in French and minored in studio art with a focus in watercolor.
So you're a
Almost.
bilingual artist.
Yeah. um and watercolor really has been my passion in terms of medium for a very long time, since the 80s. And I love how versatile it is and how it can be mixed with other media. And I have put together a few slides.
All
So
right.
you had originally asked me for four pieces that I could share with your audience, and I ended up finding four series that I could share with your audience.
All
So,
right.
um, shall I go ahead and share that?
Sure, that'd be great. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. So, let's see here. So the first series that I'd like to share is this was a watershed moment for me. It's called the Breath of Life series, and I was experimenting with the opaqueness of India ink and the
Okay.
transparency of watercolor. And the very first image is called Breath of Life. It's on the left, and that was created by dropping black India ink on the paper, the watercolor paper,
Yes.
pounding it around, blowing it with a straw, and then coming in afterwards and adding color. And I thought, wow, that's so cool. Looks kind of like a butterfly to me. It was turned on its side at that time. And then I went to frame it and I saw the dancer, this
Mm.
dancer that has her hands raised towards God and but yet is pulled down by these this in particular that one stark line. And so this image has always been very dear to me, and it was the first time I felt God really painting with me, in fact directing me. And um and what I like about her is she reminds me that no matter what we're going through life, okay, whether we have something that's pulling pulling us down physically, emotionally, spiritually, to keep our eyes focused on the Lord, to
Yes.
keep moving forward, and he will give us that strength, that breath of life to keep going. And this image meant a lot to me. I ended up giving the original to my husband as a gift when we were first married. I then went on to create variations of this painting where I would trace that same image that was spontaneously created and then change it. So that's where the joy of the Lord, which is about that Holy Spirit coming, envelop me, help me to give everything to you, animate what is in me, and help me to glorify you, that piece. And then the discipleship painting, which is the idea of that twosome, right? Of
Yes.
people together praising the Lord through their difficulties, going past their difficulties to continue to praise the Lord. And then that one I included a lot of words, and I after I put the words, I decided to write a poem. And so may I share that poem with you?
Please, that would be great.
Okay. It's called Discipleship also,
All right.
and each each verse of that poem starts with one of those words.
Okay, we'll be looking for the words as you read the verses.
Okay. Listen to God working in your life. Trust in his wisdom and love. Believe in his promises. Love unconditionally. Forgive freely. Pray unceasingly. Invite others to know him in all you do and say. Seek to know him more fully each day. Live as a light.
Beautiful. That sort of summarizes the whole gospel message. It's really got it all. It's really tremendous.
Oh, thank you. Like I said, I chose this series because I it really was the first time I felt God specifically painting with me through that very that process that's just follow the painting, follow where it leads. And it has really been a blessing to me to have that image to turn to in my life. The next series is very different. My art I'm sharing is very different.
Well, before we go on, I want to interact a little bit with you about this because this is
Okay.
a powerful and a quintessential moment in your development and growth as an artist. We've talked beforehand a little bit about the image, and I think all artists can have had a moment where people see something in their work that you didn't necessarily see or put into the work. And for me, that's a testimony to God participating with us. And I'm just struck by the joy of the Lord is particularly meaningful to me because I see this lantern in front of the figure as if the person, it's a message about us being lanterns and being lights in this world. And it's such a inspiring reminder because we can get bogged down in life and forget that we're carrying the light. And it's just very important to remember that we're on parade, so to speak. You know, the world's watching us. And when we carry that light, it dispels the darkness. So the darkness is a metaphor for all kinds of things that are oppressive and holding people down. So when you interact with people, which we'll be talking about later in our program, about your interaction with people that are being oppressed by one form or another, whether it's illness or being sort of locked away in a residential home and not being able to get out, these are all forms of oppression. And so this piece really is a great forerunner to the work that you're going to end up talking to us about. I also, this time, when looking at this piece, think about the throne room of God, that there is such an element of praise going on that it's not that it's raining in around the throne room, but there's a rainbow prismatic color, which I've always understood to have come from the frequency of the praise, the song, and the music, that it's at such a level that it erupts into color. So I see that happening here. This is something that we are destined to enjoy. And in some capacity, our spirit is in touch with that radiance of God even while we're alive, where we can, as Jesus says, the kingdom of heaven is among you. It's here, and we can dip into it on the spirit level. And this piece really captures that for me.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes, I forgot that uh, that idea of that lantern that you alluded to there in the image, and that I didn't intentionally put in there, but yeah, it that spark that we bring, or that light that we each have, small though it may be, is just like that candle, right? That it only takes
Exactly.
a candle and then you can see.
Yeah. The
um
the light can be just the same size as the mustard seed of faith. It's just God does things when we participate with Him and combine our spirit to His.
yeah, so thank you for sharing that insight with me. And as you were talking about how you see that heaven and the glory of God, that bright light in multiple colors, it reminds me of one of your sculptures, that
Oh,
sculpture that moves around, that has the
oh,
light.
the chandelier piece. Yes,
Yeah.
the lights are changing. Yeah, that the title of that piece is called Heart of Hearts, and it's about the idea that God is the origin of beauty and of light. And so that was the inspiration to try to capture the origin of beauty. No, no small task.
No, no small task.
All right, well, we can move on. I just didn't want to let this one get away without some
Oh,
commentary.
thank you. Thank you so much. So the next series is called um Bouquet of One. And I did a series of images that have a field of flowers
Mm-hmm.
that are symbolic of humanity,
Okay.
and then a single flower within that composition that is painted in such a way that it is in communion with God by its shape. So these are metaphors for me. And you can see that, well, I say you can see. I see that when we open our hearts to God,
Yes.
when we look towards God, when we contemplate Him, um, there really is this feeling of, in God's eyes, I am a bouquet of one. I am so precious in God's eyes as His beloved son or daughter. I am precious and have dignity and worth and value, and am dearly beloved. And that's where I was getting at in this series, was sometimes we feel like we're just one of many,
Yes.
but in fact our oneness is what is so special. We are each so unique.
Right.
I say so unique. We are unique. There is no other person like us, nor will there ever be, nor has there ever been someone like who we are. And when I was creating this series of Bouquet of One, I was praying to God, please, what is it that you want me to convey through this series? Um, and He said, I love you just as you are. You are precious to me. And of course, God loves us the way we are, but He never wants to see us stay there, because He always sees the beauty that we can continue to unfold into. And so in some of the paintings of this series, I just have a single flower.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's words that go behind the single flower instead of a multitude of other flowers. But it's just about being in communion with God and resting in His warm, loving embrace.
I see this as a possible graphic image on a T-shirt with the text "Bouquet of One." It's a great way to have a segue into talking about some of these insights that you have, and I would think that maybe through Fine Art America or some such place that does print work for you as an artist, it would be really a great thing to offer this to the public.
Thank you. I actually do have a site I'm populating in that Fine Art America platform
Well,
where I'll
good. We'll be sure to have the link at the end of in our description box for anybody who's interested.
thank you. Shall I move to the next one?
Yeah, sure. That'd be great.
All right. So the next one, yet very different. This next series is the Crux Gloria series, which is how I got to meet you, Tomas. Um, a while back, I was really touched by this cross, this 33-foot tall metal cross at church. And I just really felt so attracted to this cross because it invited me into the crucifixion and resurrection at the same time. This hole that was created in this cross. And uh and I asked the pastor if I could paint it, and then he said yes. I said, well, how do I get in touch with the artist? And he got me in touch with you. And I have since painted, I think, a dozen versions of this cross, your cross, called Cook's Gloria. And here we have Prince of Peace and a detail of a larger painting called In All Seasons. Here's the winter and spring part of that painting. And I think that for me, what I so appreciate about this image is it invites my imagination into the reality of the gift that we have received through Christ. And my imagination brings with it what I've learned about this miraculous story of God becoming man and giving himself for us. And I had no idea what was behind the making of this 33-foot tall hollow metal cross until I had the chance to talk to you. And I know that you have an interview that you've recorded where you talk specifically about the inspiration that you receive from God to create this cross of light. And I definitely hope that the viewers will take the time to listen to your full length interview. But I would like to ask you if you could say just a little bit, uh, so
Sure.
that people could know about how this image even came to be.
All right, I'll give the short version, but please,
Okay.
if
I know that's hard.
it is
Do a
hard,
short version too.
this is a moment that completely reoriented my life to a different compass setting. And I'd like to say to true north at this point. And it was a vision that the Lord woke me up with in the middle of the night and showed me a cross that was, the whole cross was blazing, but the figure where he resided in the cross was like the energy of the sun. It was molten, it was making sound, it was just like alive with power. And in a mysterious, supernatural way, he took me from where I was into the cross, into his figure of the cross. And I felt in a very tangible way what it's like to be freed from sin, because I experienced complete burning away of all the sin that I had accumulated in life. And I was a prodigal son story, so I'd been raised in the faith, but just knew about Jesus. I didn't know Jesus. I hadn't had an encounter. So this certainly qualifies as an encounter. And it was immobilizing. I couldn't move. I didn't want to move. The feeling of his presence was so overwhelmingly wonderful. He wasn't stern. He wasn't condemning. He just wanted to fix me, and he did. So I went out to the shop and put together a model the next day, because as simple as this concept is, no one had ever seen this before. So I put together with some tubular steel and cut out the figure of Christ on the front and the back so that there is a clear passageway. And I've come to think of it as a doorway to the promised land, which of course is heaven and an eternity with the Lord. So, and when we go through this doorway, we can't take anything with us. None of the accomplishments we can't package them under our arms. We just have to come and recognize what the cross has done and what it does for us. It releases us, and it makes us right in right standing to be able to be in the presence of God. So I, like you, have produced different versions of it, and there's quite a bit of a story. So I'll include a link to my website so people can see what the Lord used. The phrase, my cross is a cross of light. That's really one of the few things he spoke to me in this interaction. So I called it Crux Gloria, which is glorious cross, and you can find it on the website under Cross of Light.
Thank you, Tomas. And thank you again for giving me permission to paint your cross. Um, it's very interesting. Up until this point in my life as an artist, I had not experienced any um, challenges to overcome in my art regarding being accepted in the art world until I started to paint the cross. And I remember one time I was in an art show, and the judge had to select one of the two pieces that you put in. And every year I've always had both pieces accepted until this one year when I one of the pieces I put in was of the cross. And at the end of the critique, the judge said, if anyone's here who has a piece that I haven't accepted, who would like to hear about why I didn't accept it, please let me know. So I raised my hand and said, yes, I would like that. And he very honestly said, it's not because of how you painted, it's because of what you painted. And it was the first time I realized, wow, here, Lord, is my first time I'm trying to overtly paint something that is pointing people towards you, not just flowers, not just the breath of life image, but using the cross. And it was the first time I had been discriminated against specifically because I had chosen that. And that began a very intense time of seeking the Lord as an artist,
Yes,
because I realized this is not something I'm going to be able to do all by myself.
right.
And so I was really grateful to be able to come alongside other people who also were seeking to glorify the Lord through their talents, and singers and musicians and painters and writers, and just so grateful for that support that helped me continue and not just close down. Um, I think we all need that in life, as helpers, right? Encouragers along the way.
Exactly. And there are many, many. I mean, this isn't something that goes away once you pass the first test. It comes back at you many times where you have to be willing to, whatever it is that is the resistance is about, not being part of the norm, or being pointed out as being different, or, a faith person, or whatever it is that inhibits you from sharing. The Lord engineers opportunities for us to share the faith, and we just don't have the perspective to know how that'll affect people. But what we do know is that His words are not just pleasant words, but they're charged with supernatural energy that comes from Him, and they can have long-term effects. We may not see the result of them. Um,
Yeah.
I've been challenged on this cross myself a few times. So,
I was challenged too with words. I had a a little shop in my town that was carrying my art on a consignment basis.
yes.
And I had little tiny things that I framed that were perfect for someone, just a little windows for the a windowsill, gift for the hospital, or just a little something. And each one had, I used a Judeo Christian scripture, usually the
Okay.
Psalms or something like that. And I had my art in this one store for months. And then I went one time at Christmas time and noticed that my things weren't out. And I asked the store manager, and she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we had someone come and complain. Why are we carrying this in our store?" And I thought, and then she said, "If you don't mind, we'll just take the words off." And I said, "I can't take the words off. The words are what makes that gift so special. Like you said, it's the power of the words." And because of that interaction, I ended it amicably, but I decided, okay, it's time for me to rent my own space. And so I
Wow.
did that until this that next store closed. But yeah, you have to stand up for principles sometimes, and just because the world says I don't want that image or I don't want those words, we can't just say, okay, I give in. Somebody
Exactly.
doesn't like it, right?
Right.
So that's our role as baptized Christians, is to be disciples and to keep getting out there, right? With the message
Absolutely.
of life-giving hope, you know,
I
because
believe that it brings a smile to the Lord's face when
yeah,
it happens.
and hope is a person.
Hope is a
Hope is a
person.
person. It is not a concept that's intangible. Hope is the love, the unconditional love of the person of God.
Well said.
And that's what brings us peace, and that's what brings us joy. So, um, should I move on to the next one?
Yes, let's see what's next.
Okay. So the next one, this is my fourth and final work of mine. This is called Take Heart. I'm inspired either by scripture or by everyday walks, and what I see on my walks. And this one day, a while back, I was kind of sullen and had my head down and was kind of droopy. And lo and behold, I see this leaf, this heart shaped wine colored leaf. So not purple, but wine colored.
Okay.
And it just it just like lifted me. And I felt like this was a balloon sent to the ground for me by God to lift my spirits. And I painted it. I painted it purple. And I tried to paint it as if it were a balloon. Uh, but this, I'm assuming it's a type of oak leaf. I've never found another leaf like this,
It
but
looks like an oak leaf to me.
mhm. And so I call this Take Heart. Um, that's what I felt like God was saying to me that day. Take heart, I am with you. Just like in the scriptures, he says, take heart, your sins are forgiven. Take heart, um, your faith has saved you. Take heart, I can't remember the other ones, but there are a number of take heart verses in the Bible. And this image, which is only 6 inches by 6 inches, and is on a clayboard surface, an archival clayboard surface, is what I'm offering for the highest bidder to help me raise funds for a charity. So we'll come back to this one at the end of our interview,
All
right?
right. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So it's a beautiful piece. It would make a exciting addition to anybody's collection. And what's nice about something that you purchase and you've exchanged something meaningful from your life with you, and you've been compensated for your time, and it becomes a icon in the office or the home. So when you see it, it's not just a decorator piece of work that somebody found for you. It's connecting you to the story of a message from God about take heart, about lift up your head, I'm with you, and we're walking this walk together. These are all messages that we need to continually reinforce ourselves and our other family members about, and we can share that story. So it's a ripple effect from the inspiration that you first received, and now it has an opportunity to go out and find its way into someone else's life. So it's a very meaningful exchange that's happening.
Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
it's purple. The purple actually is indicative of Alzheimer's and other dementias.
Okay.
And that's what this is a fundraiser for. And so
Well, great. We'll talk about that and include some links for people to know what's near and dear to your heart in terms of charities later on in the program.
Yeah. So that this part concludes the paintings, my own paintings, samples of my work.
Okay.
But as I um, indicated to you when you asked me to be part of this program, I said, well, do I do I just share the paintings I've made, or can I really share the art that's made possible through my heart's work, not just my artwork? And so the second half of our time together, which is, I have to say, my favorite, um, is how the colors that God gives me in life are being expressed through lives. And I have a lead in image. Um, my business is called Art Together, and I really am about bringing joy to families, individuals, and their friends and families and caregivers. And so while God has given me the beautiful gift of being able to see beauty around me, from the everyday leaf to the trees to whatever it might be that's out there, um, he's he's given me the opportunity to bring that into um, senior living communities, nursing
Okay.
homes, assisted living communities, as well as individuals who live in private homes, to be able to experience the joy of making art together. And this is what I call, you know, this is art, in my opinion, in its best form, because anything that can bring us together and bring us closer to that which is beauty and love, God Himself, what more can we ask for in life? And to have an image that you have painted with your loved one that continues past the time that you are with them
Mm.
is such a tremendous reminder of a special time, a special moment of joy that you shared and created together. And so in this picture, you can see individuals who are my family up at the top,
Okay.
right? And but also other families that I've had the pleasure to work with through art. And some have advanced dementias like advanced Alzheimer's and traumatic brain injury, um, Parkinson's, lots of different situations. And so, what I'd like to share next really is how the arts can be used to impact and enhance lives for individuals who either have a chronic illness or medical condition, and how to help have meaningful engagement for someone in that situation with
Yes.
either a caregiver, a family member, a friend. um, my own dad now has Parkinson's and dementia and cancer, and so I've seen the power of art in his life when I have been able to paint with him.
Mm-hmm.
And my two uncles who have also succumbed to their illnesses, and just the joy that it brought them and the families to have something positive to talk about and experience during a difficult time in their journey. I have a video. It's a 3-minute video that
All
really
right. Great.
uh, introduces, I think, very well what I'm trying to say so inadequately. So I have that I'd like to share next.
Please.
Okay.
Okay, it's kind of, when you first paint, it's kind of like, when you're a little kid and you wake up Christmas morning and you get that present that you really want and you're so excited. It's kind of the same feeling that when you paint. It's just such a new, exciting thing in your life. You can't hardly wait to see it, and you really want to get to it. and see what it's like. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Anticipation.
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
The excitement that builds up in you is fantastic because you don't feel that way too often. So when you do, when you paint, it's wonderful that feel that you have inside.
Because I didn't want to do it at first.
Yeah,
And, well, I wanted to try because
oh, I
I
know.
didn't know how it was going to turn
I
out.
should tell you that.
But with God, with His grace,
Mm.
You
that
know,
I did it. And I did a lot of them. And my family was proud of me. They didn't think I could do it either.
Hi there, Dan, what you say? Step aside, partner, it's my day. Bend an ear and listen to my version of a really solid Tennessee excursion. Pardon me, boy.
What do you want to
I
say?
have loved painting and learning and having fun just doing it because it can be done. And that's why. Don't I walk out here and say, hey, that was great.
I've got my fare and just a trifle to spare. You leave the Pennsylvania station about 3:45. Read a magazine and then you're in Baltimore.
That was so good. You just touched those people so profoundly.
It's
Really.
hard not to cry through that.
Yeah.
They are also dear to my heart. It's actually been 5 months since I've been with them.
Because of
Um,
COVID.
because of COVID. It was March of 2020, right? That I stopped being able to go. It was almost 15 months later that I was allowed to be back in person with them. And that lasted for about 4 months. And then in October, the first Omicron cases came through and everything shut down again. Um, yeah, so I just found out today that hopefully next week I'll be able to be back at the nursing home, one of the nursing homes in my community, to be able to be with the residents again and to bring this joy, this this special gift of being able to bring joy through art. Um, yeah,
Well,
it
let
it
me.
leaves me speechless, you know. Just
Yeah, you can see the images and the reactions and people's concentrated efforts, and it becomes a personal kind of badge of accomplishment, and it becomes something that the family can hang on to, because we can have a great conversation, but if we don't have something that kind of binds us back to the reality, it kind of slips back into the memory halls in our brain and not necessarily something that we can retrieve. But with a piece of art that you've put together with that person and or their family, everybody has a memento that is connected to the heart and soul of the person that's needing the special care and demonstration of family love. So it's great. Now I have a question. If I was an artist and I just saw this and I was like, I could do that, what would be some guidance that you could give somebody?
wow. Yes. Uh, you if this is something that's tugging on your heart,
Mm-hmm.
then it is definitely something to look into and to to know that with some training that you could do it. I didn't realize how much I would have to adapt supplies and processes in order to work with individuals that have special needs like this.
Yes.
And it was very hard at first to um, to do that. Over time, I've been doing this now for a good 10 years, and over time I've learned, oh, here's what I need to keep in mind with this kind of situation, or this, you know, what might work best for tools or approaches, or how many choices to not give.
Right.
Sometimes decision paralysis. What color would you like? Not a good idea. Um, in many cases, but yes, I think there's a growing. We now have art therapy degrees, right? At the
Oh,
time that I was going through college, that was not a thing.
okay.
But now people can go specifically for an art therapy degree. And you can also, as an artist, learn how to work with individuals where the process of making art is therapeutic for them in in many ways, right? And so you don't have to have an art therapy degree in order to do what I do. I don't have an art therapy degree. Um, but I do think understanding how to adapt, how to look, and how to adapt to what people need are key for doing this kind of work. And I'd certainly be happy to talk to anyone who's listening to this program who might want to get some pointers, or I have some resources on my website for individuals like me, or
Yes.
people who would like to serve the community in this way.
Yes.
And at some point, I'm sure I'll do some kind of training or something that will help give more resources for individuals.
I could see a webinar being put together for this to communicate to other wannabe instructors.
Thank you.
I hope that happens.
Oh, I know you do. I know you do. And yeah, with COVID, it's been hard to figure out how to move forward because there are only so many hours in a day. And so you think, okay, do I get to go back to be with those people that I love? Do I get to be back next week? Or and here it's 5 months later. In the meantime, I have continued to pivot and adjust, um, just because there's COVID doesn't mean there aren't other ways to continue to connect with people through art. And so the rest of my slideshow really is more about that.
Okay.
Um, so I'll go back to sharing my screen.
All right.
This image keeps moving up. Sorry about that. So in this image, you see at the very top, prior to COVID, I did train individuals to be painting companions
Okay.
so that I could work with a group of resident artists all at the same time. And every one or two people had their own painting companion that could help them along. And that was very successful. And then, of course, with COVID, we couldn't do that anymore. Bottom right, this is pre-COVID. We had an art auction in one of the locations that I have my programs, and residents donated paintings. I think we had a good 20 paintings donated or more, and we raised nearly $1,000 in a couple hours for the Alzheimer's Association. What a beautiful way for people who are living in a senior community to partner with um, other residents and staff and families, and invite the general public into their home and showcase, hey, look, we've been able to do this and we want to support um,
Yes.
the Alzheimer's Association or other organizations so that more people can benefit besides just us. And then on the left, where it says the blessing, it's cut off, but it's the blessing tree. This is entering into COVID now.
Okay.
So I had a gentleman at one of my communities, nursing home communities, say to me, Catherine, I'm really concerned that the people here are going to be forgotten. They had already been confined to their rooms for a very long time.
Ooh.
And he said, I'd like to send a card to every resident. So that's about 100 people. Okay. And and he asked if I could help. And I'm like, yeah, I can help you have cards that you can send out. So we made a card with one of his images and printed off enough so that he could give one to every person in the nursing home. And I thought, you know what? This man's heart is so beautiful. I want to partner with him. And he didn't know this. I thought, what if I could invite the local town to help shower the residents in two local nursing homes with cards and gifts?
Wow.
So with the help of my family, I painted a large backdrop and we put a tree and a plastic bin outside our house, and it said the blessing tree, gathering cards and gifts of love for homebound seniors. And we were able to gather enough of those blessings and distribute it to every resident in those two nursing homes. And that was the Christmas of 2020. What a beautiful thing. So beautiful.
That's awesome.
So that was definitely sharing hope through art. And to have received all this beautiful artwork from even other states, um, of kids' artwork that we could give to the residents was such a an unexpected blessing because I only had 2 weeks to pull this off, and I was so
Huh.
grateful for the help of neighbors, my family, the community. Um, so that was one way that we continued to stay connected with the residents that were confined to their rooms.
Okay.
Um,
It's a good example of you weren't anticipating the request from the gentleman, and
no,
this is an important, just general statement about walking with the Lord is being a person who says yes. And he had a whole path all ready to go that you knew nothing about, and it turned into such a huge thing. I imagine the community, it became a drive-by for people to come look at the tree and know that they were participating in such a cool thing.
yeah, I actually was not able to do it this past Christmas because of my dad's health
Mm-hmm.
and things going on. But I still had people reach out to me. Hey, are you doing the blessing tree this year? And gave me some things, and I did deliver them. Um, yeah, anything, every little ounce of love matters, and in fact, it matters so much what we do for people who are going through this isolation and depression and difficult health time, right?
Yeah.
That actually, this leads into my next slide. This is pre COVID, but um, because I work with individuals who are so often near the end of their lives on this earth, I'm invited to many funerals, and it just touches my heart so much to see how their art has not only been a joy for the person painting it, but such a blessing for the families, a keepsake for the families, a
Yes.
source of great joy for the family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so here are just three funerals where the artwork was on display, and I'm so grateful. This just shows you the power of art to touch hearts, not just decorate a wall. Not
Right.
just be an activity, okay? Not,
Yes.
not just let me check the box, here's an activity for you, but something meaningful. So often the family members of people who are in my programs have done memorial gifts for my program so that I can offer scholarships to other residents to participate free of charge. And those memorial gifts have been so life-giving and have touched so many lives. Yeah, I'm so grateful for that.
So you
I,
you actually have a benevolent fund that you created to receive gifts, and
yes,
sometimes there are families who give in memory of a person that's passed. Sometimes it's to give while the person is still alive and participating, and other times it's even a spillover of the families. I know one story of the family has continued to give money so you can reach out to others even
yes,
after the passing of their loved member of the family, which
yes.
is a tremendous testimony to. They know that this works and they want to ensure that it continues to work.
Yes, and this one lady, Marion, she was the recipient of someone else's gift for a
Ah,
scholarship. And then the family was so touched because this lady, she had advanced Alzheimer's. She couldn't feed herself, but yet she could, once you got that brush in her hand and you showed her what to do, she could do it. And the daughters would come and watch her paint with me.
wow.
And that's the thing, I think so often in society we think if you can't remember the date and you can't do something, let's say feed yourself, okay,
Okay.
well then what can you do? You can't do anything, right? Oh my goodness, I have so many staff who've cried, family members who've cried because they've seen, wow, this person really can do this. Yes, it's a different part of the brain than what did you eat this morning,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or what day are we? Or yeah, it's amazing how God has created the brain and how we know that even that there are parts of the brain that are less affected by dementia, for
Mm-hmm.
example, with Alzheimer's, than other parts, and how our ability to be impacted by music continues so often all the way until we die. Our
Yes.
sense of touch, our emotional intelligence, how we respond to the tone of voice and people sense their touch, right? Those acts of love and care and concern. So for people to say, oh, it doesn't matter if I go and visit so and so, they don't know who I am. Well, they might not know who you are. That's right. But they will know they are loved if you are there and you are loving them. If you are telling them you love them, if you are caressing their hands or massaging their hands with lotion, if you are singing to them, if you are reading to them, yes, they're going to know. They're going to know they are loved. So, um, and I think that's what art has made possible for me is it's opened the door to show people that even if we don't know who you are and you can't say your name, you can know that you are loved and that you matter and that your life matters.
Yes.
And I think we have to get past our own uncomfortableness with, oh my gosh, this person doesn't know who I am. And I'm speaking from personal experience with my own family. um so yes, focus on what's in the present, whether it's something you can see, something you can read, something you can look at, an image, a picture, and just be in the moment with that person. And that's what art does, is it puts you in the moment. It doesn't matter what you did earlier in the day or what you're going to do, because you can't remember either of them so
Right.
often, right? If you have dementia, you can't look back and you can't look forward. You can only look at the present, which is the gift. The gift right now is what's in the present. Isn't that a beautiful word? Present,
Yes. Yeah. It's great.
present for gift. So,
And I
yeah,
imagine there's an extended connection with the finished work and the person who's dealing with forgetfulness, that there's a bond to that work that links them in some perhaps deeper pathway, neurologically speaking, to they know that this is a special piece. They may not remember exactly how it all came together, but
Oh,
it's in their room, and they
oh,
look
they
at it
know
with
it's special. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I've had so many people tell me stories of, you know, m- of their loved one, and I see it. I see it when I'm with the people too. But yeah, they don't they don't know their name anymore, and they can't write their name, and they won't know my name. But when they see me and they see my apron and I'm coming down the hall, oh, the face lights up, you know. Oh, because of emotional intelligence that's still there. They still know joy. They still know love. And anyways, yeah, I could keep talking about this, but I know that our time is limited, so I will move on.
Well, it's an
Um,
inspirational story.
oh, thank you. I have just a couple of slides that show, how have I adapted to COVID? And I think this is where artists are right now, right? We've been having to adapt. There haven't been art shows. There haven't been opportunities to paint together with people. And how do we make our art relevant in the society right now and our skills? And how do we make a living as an artist? And um, so on the top right was my one of my very first times of using Zoom to teach people how to paint.
Okay.
And I started to offer a monthly class called Created for More, which is for women, and it's painting and prayer.
Okay.
And on the left, um, when everything was in shutdown mode and we could only go to certain stores and all of that, I had tons of art supplies that I had already purchased. And I put together probably 25 kits of art supplies like the ones that were out that included tea and little goodies and
Oh,
little notes and a link to 4 videos. And I decided that since I couldn't be with the people that I loved, I knew it was going to be at least 2 months before I was going to be able to be with them. And if
okay.
this is in the beginning of COVID, right? Nobody knew what was going on. I thought, oh, I bet you it's going to be at least 2 months. What am I going to do? And I thought, well, God impressed on my heart that the treasure that I have is my faith. It's that
Yes.
fact that I know God loves me. That is my treasure. And when I saw what other people were doing with singing on balconies and singing out for the public, right? And
Yes.
going
I
door to
remember
door,
those.
taking photographs of families on their doorsteps. And I thought, what can I do? What can I do? And I thought, well, I know how to paint. I know how to make things easy for people to paint. Um, I love to take pictures, so I have a gazillion pictures in my computer, and I could walk around my neighborhood and take pictures. And what if I took people on a little journey with me with my family? So it's kind of it's a little combination of a little walk with the Fettermans, my husband and my daughter, and my dog Bella, combined with a how to paint a piece. And the pièce de résistance, as they say, was I so wanted to connect with these people that I love so much that I couldn't be with. So I featured them in every video. At the very
Wow.
end is a tribute to every one of them. So if I painted, there are 4 different themes: painting cherry blossoms, Virginia bluebells, spring flowers, and beach flowers. And so if I had pictures of my senior artists painting one of those things, I put them in the ending of each video with their pictures and
Nice.
what they named their painting. And that was my way to stay connected to them during COVID. um, i I also partnered with my church. We had 2 groups of about 20 um, high school students. I think it's high school. Well, 8th grade, maybe it's middle school. Um, that met with me, and we painted hand painted cards of beach scenes and made goodie bags, um, of treats and real seashells that we wrote inside of, thinking of you, God loves you, you matter, you're not alone. And we delivered over 100 of these goodie
Wow.
bags to the nursing home and other local seniors that I knew that were homebound. And this is one lady that I know well, and she was the recipient of one of these bags. Unfortunately, because of the COVID lockdown, I could not see the residents receiving these gifts, so I only have one picture. But these hand painted cards by the students were accompanied with a letter of prayer and support that got delivered to all these people. And so this is another example of, okay, since I can't paint with you, what can I do that is art? I'll paint with someone else who can give you their art. And I know from what the staff have told me that this was very meaningful for them. And we did gifts for the staff too. The
That's
the student.
nice.
Hmm. We
Well,
can't forget those staff that work so hard caring for
that's
the
right. The unsung heroes.
yeah.
Well, this was like the best Christmas present ever. My goodness. It must have just blown people away.
This one was in the more towards Easter time,
Ah,
this gift, but it really is about, hope through arts and how that can involve different parts of the community. So even though I can't physically be with the residents, um, I was able to get the community be able to help me still be with the residents in a different way and to
well,
still bless them through art. And I'm so grateful for that.
I just want to reach out to the people that are hearing this and seeing this and just challenge you in a creative, loving kind of way to ask that same question. How can you be of service? Because it adds such meaning to your life, and you're depositing such a rich treasure into somebody's diminished world. It opens the blinds and lets the light in, getting back to that. And so
Mm,
you can be in touch with Catherine or myself, or just with your own art group, but or your youth group. There's another thing that can be worked with, and this plants the seeds in the kids' hearts that we're called to be the servants, just like Christ. So
yeah.
my congratulations. This is awesome.
Oh, thank you. COVID has been such a dark time for all of us. And I think one of the strange blessings of COVID is it gave us a, a personal experience, every single person, a personal experience of what is it like to be isolated, to be without connection, human connection,
Right.
right? Um, not be able to go where you want. And so I think it helps to develop empathy with the people who do live in community settings or even independently in their own homes who have
Mm-hmm.
home care come to them. But the isolation and what that can do to you when you don't have anything meaningful in your life that 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 helps you get through the day. And anyways, one last thing. So, speaking of darkness with COVID, I during COVID, I was privileged to meet this beautiful lady, Maria. We were both on a team of 12 people that were in formation to put on a retreat for women. And
Okay.
because of COVID, it got postponed for 2 years. So I got to know Maria through that. And I had offered to the women in this group, if anybody wants to paint, I'd be happy to paint with you. We could do it virtually, we could do it together. And I asked Maria, who has been blind since birth, if
Mm.
she would like to do that. And at first she hesitated, and I said, I know you can do it. And then she said yes. And we have been journeying now for over a year in how to, and our discoveries of how to have someone who can't see be able to paint. And she is such a remarkable young woman, and she has taught me so much about overcoming darkness, um, not being afraid of dependence. You know, I think
Mm-hmm.
we are all so, uh, what's the right word? We focus so much on being independent that we're afraid to be dependent.
Right.
And I've just learned so much from Maria. And after painting a couple times together, uh, and she said, you know, what if we were to share our journey with other people? What if we tried different things and we could see what works and what doesn't work? Maybe someone else might want to learn how to do something like this. So have actually recorded 6 episodes.
Wow.
Um, and I know that Maria is one of the people that you are interviewing, and I think that's just so beautiful. And um, I think she has a lot to share with others.
Yes, I did a great interview. It was very inspiring for me as the interview person, asking questions and just trying to put myself in her place of not being able to see. It's almost an oxymoron to think that someone who has no reference can enjoy painting, and it makes you appreciate painting in general, because I paint as well, and it just like makes me kind of go, what are my struggles? And through your well done videos, you can see how she can find the edges of the paper, how she uses compartments to paint. She knows where her red belongs and her blue and her white, and with a little bit of handover guidance, she gets to experience a level of joy of artistry that I would not have thought was possible. So I put it in the miraculous realm. So and
You know, I think she has a lot to teach us too in terms of we think you have to see in order to see beauty, right?
yes,
If that's true, then how can we see the beauty of God when it's invisible,
it's a good point.
right? We use our all of our senses. And that's what Maria does, is she uses all of her senses to be able to understand color, to be able to understand shape. And so whether it's identifying colors with tastes and smells,
Mm-hmm.
or feeling things so that she knows what it's going to be, how it's going to be painted, what, you know, like the lavender that we did, we had to feel the stalk of lavender, and practice that motion in the air before we did it on the paper. But so you know, our using our different senses to help us create something of beauty and also appreciate what's already beautiful, like that piece of lavender. So even if I couldn't see it, I could smell it was beautiful, I could feel that it was beautiful. Art helps us in that way with hope.
Yes, it's
Art helps us connect to things that are all around us, but we may not even see it, right? Because
right.
we're not looking. We're
And
not looking.
one of the things about Maria is you have a sense of her foundational disposition towards being joyful,
Mm,
and that comes out in her work. So it's a good glimpse at someone you think, what can they contribute because they're blind, and they can contribute quite a bit.
yeah.
So
Just like people who are dying or at the end of their life with an advanced illness,
yes,
if they can't speak doesn't mean they can't contribute to life.
Right.
If they can't move something on their own, it doesn't mean they can't still have such a powerful impact on your life, right? So,
Exactly.
mm-hmm.
And
So I'm so sorry, Tomas.
that's okay. I was going to segue to talking about Maria, and she has a donated piece of artwork like you're getting ready to show us to help raise people's awareness for the charities that are near and dear to her. And now you are about to introduce us to something that you're offering as a donation from you, but it's a minimum bid of $450, and the highest bidder over the course of a month can be in touch with either you or myself, and we'll record it and be in touch with the other interested parties with the idea that we're using this special piece of work to raise funds for a very special cause. So why don't you tell us about the dynamics of that for you?
Yes, when you invited me to do this interview and you were telling me about Hope Through Arts, I was really touched by how you invited us to share with the public a a charity that we would like to help support and give more visibility to. And immediately I went to Dementia Society of America. I think a lot of people are familiar with the Alzheimer's Association, and that does good work.
Yes.
But the Dementia Society of America, what I so appreciate is they are very focused on the here and now, in
Okay.
addition to helping provide resources and support to individuals who have a dementia or are caring for someone with a dementia. So, I was touched by this organization and my clients as well, my artists at the nursing home, because the founder, Kevin Jameson, his wife, Ginny, when she was in her latter years with her dementia, they found that um, engagement through the arts was truly life enriching
Yes.
and brought a great uh, enhance, really enhanced the quality of her life enormously.
Great.
And so what he did is start what's called Ginny Gives. And this program offers grants to nonprofit organizations. It used to be through artists, now it's through nonprofits, to provide arts programming to people with dementia. And so I partnered with my local nursing home, and together we applied for a grant. It was $1,000 grant. We received it, and 30 people were able to paint with me.
Mm.
And we had an art show. In fact, there was a view of all of us with corsages, and
Nice.
we photographed earlier in this presentation that was from that. But um, the Dementia Society of America really is doing beautiful work, and I want to help to pay it forward
Good.
for their work, their program, just like they have for the residents that are dear to my heart. So I've offered this Take Heart original painting,
Okay.
a watercolor painting, starting at 450, like you said, and 50% of whatever that amount raised through
Okay.
this particular painting will be donated directly to Dementia Society of America. 25% of that will also go towards my Art Together Benevolent Scholarship Fund.
Perfect.
Now that I'm going to be able to get back in the spring, I need some kind of way to replenish the that scholarship fund pot, and so that will help. And then there are also links that we'll make available if people would like to make a donation in any amount, $10, whatever it is, to either of those that they can. Um, so that's I'm hoping to help people specifically with these chronic illnesses and with dementia, whether it's Parkinson's or mild cognitive impairment or Alzheimer's. There's so many Lewy bodies dementia, so many versions of diseases that have dementia as a component in them. But I think as a society, we need to start looking at how to engage people in life and
Yes.
live life with any diagnosis that they have.
Right. I mean, we're all
Help
gonna
them
we're all gonna
succeed.
have something. It's just a matter
We
of
all have something.
we're gonna
So
take take turns.
mm-hmm.
So let's pay it forward,
Yeah,
as you've said. Well, thank you, Catherine. You've given us a whirlwind tour of your beginnings as an artist and some of the talented work that you've produced and exhibited and put in print format, and then also how you were led to taking your skill set and applying it to a very challenging environment, the COVID world and the shut-ins and the people that were suffering from isolation and bringing light to them. So it's been a great tour, and I just want to congratulate you and also pray for your continued success.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll look forward to an update somewhere down the road.
There's a quote I wanted to end with,
All right, please.
right? That's oops, I just misplaced it. That's when we think about hope through arts, there's a beautiful scripture in Romans 15:13 that reads, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." We all have the potential within us to bring hope to others, but it must reside in us. We can't give to others what we don't have. And in order to have hope, we have to have peace. And if we have peace, we can have joy, right? Because you can't have joy without peace. And that's something that I've come to recognize even more during this pandemic is remember that the treasure that we have is a person, the person of Jesus,
That's
the
right.
person who is hope. And the more we get in touch with that person, the more we connect with that person, the more peace and joy we will have in our lives, and the more hope we can spread in our world.
Well said. It's an overflowing potential that the cup overflows and it nourishes many.
Yeah.
So,
And I thank you for being on that journey with me, and for, as they say, iron sharpens iron, right? And we all need each other. So thank you for inviting me to be part of this initiative with you and with your listeners. And I do hope that some small thing that we discussed today will inspire and spark um, the light in that person also, right? Because we
exactly.
all have goodness within us, and if we can just focus on be who we are and be that well, as Saint Francis de Sales says, be who you are. Be who you are. Don't try to be somebody else,
Well
you know?
said. Well said.
So
Well, thank you and God bless you, and we'll look forward to a future update. This is Tomas Fernandez from Hope Through Arts, and thank you for liking our program and also hitting the subscribe button and the little notification bell so you can get future updates. And thanks once again, Catherine.
thank you, Tomas.